And now, what some of you have been waiting for, the Hebrew of the week, with Ruth 3:14. See if you can pronounce the Hebrew. Now I'll give it a shot. Vatishkav margalotayo. This is weird. Anyway, normally I would expect margalotiv, but anyway, I think it's margalotayo. Ad ha-boker Vatakam. All right. What are we looking at here? Vav patak doubling. It's a converted imperfect, or a vayiktal form, or a preterite. And shakav is to bed or to lie. Remember, Boaz says, just lay here the rest of the night, which was interesting, and I won't read between the lines. But anyway, vatishkav, and she lay. Let's take this as a simple preterite, because I think it is. And she lay. What are we going on here? So I think it's a call. I know that there's a dagesh in the second radical of shakav, but I think it's a light dagesh, a hardening dagesh, the beginning of a syllable, because tish ends a syllable. So I don't think it's any D stem kind of stuff going on. It's just a call or a G stem. So converted imperfect, vayiktal, it's third feminine singular. She lay, and she lay. Margalotayo. The O at the end is his, so that's a possessive. You can see regal in there, which is foot. So this is a different word from regal, which is feet. This is a foot place, at his foot place. Okay. It's plural. There's the holum vav here. That tells you it's plural. So it's his feet place, I guess, rather than his foot place. But anyway, pretty much the same thing. So, and she lay at his feet place, ad, until haboker, until the morning. Hey patak doubling is the, and then boker is morning. Boker tov, good morning. And then in the morning, vatakam, she arose. So vav patak doubling, this is a converted imperfect, or a vayiktal, or a preterite. Again, the tav tells you it's third feminine singular. This is kum, which means to arise. So it's a vayiktal preterite form, third feminine singular, call, from kum. All right. So, and she laid his foot place, like he said, until the morning, and then she arose. But see if you can pronounce this. Baterem yakir ish et re'ehu. All right. What are we going on here? So, terem is something like before, and then baterem is like in the before. She left in the before. Before each ish can mean man, but in this context it means something like each person, something like that. Yakir will recognize his neighbor. So leave before anybody can recognize anybody. When it's really dark, make sure that nobody knows you are here. In other words, so this is I believe nakar, and the nun assimilates when no vowel separates. So the nun, which is the first radical, has been sucked into the kaf, and it's doubled. The yod is an imperfect performative. It's the third masculine singular performative to go with man or each. Before a man will recognize his neighbor. So this is a Hiph'il, or an H stem. The clues that it's an H stem are the patak under the performative and the hirik yod after the second radical. So before will cause to know each his neighbor. I don't think you want to read too much into the causative aspect of the Hiph'il. Just look it up in the dictionary. It means recognize in the Hiph'il. So she arose in the morning before a person would recognize his neighbor. Et is the definite direct object marker. We'll recognize what? We'll recognize neighbor. And then who here is another form of the third feminine. So his neighbor, his foot place. With the vowel, actually, normally with the vowel, you would prefer the who, probably. But who is another way of saying his. Hebrew wasn't entirely rigid on those things, it seems to me. So So she lay at his feet place, like he said, until the morning. Then she arose before a person would recognize his neighbor. And then the verse ends with this line. See if you can pronounce it. Here's my pronunciation. Vayomer al yivada ki ba'a ha isha ha goren. All right. So Vayomer you should recognize by now. And he said, it's a third masculine singular, converted imperfect, or vayiktal, or preterite, whatever you want to call it, a call stem or G stem, whichever you want to call it, from Amar. So, and he said, that is Boaz said. Now, he's not talking to Ruth. She's left. He's talking to his people, because his people know. And here's what he says to his people: all, do not. This is all is the form of not that's used with prohibitions, with negative commands. So I know that an imperative is coming, or a jussive, and I'm not disappointed. So yevada is a jussive, which is one way to make it's a third person command. And then all makes it a prohibition. Do not let be known. The let comes from the fact that it's jussive. A jussive is basically, it looks a lot like an imperfect, except the context suggests that it's a command. There are a few places where the form is actually different in the jussive from the imperfect. But in general, you'll go a long way if you think that a jussive is basically imperfect in form in a context that calls for me to translate it as a command. So do not let be known. This is a Niph'al stem, which is passive. That's where the be comes from. One of the telltale signs of the Niph'al is a kamatz under the first radical, which we see here. And it's Niph'al, so that dagesh there is, again, an assimilated nun. And nun assimilates with no vowel, separates, gets sucked into the vav, and it doubles. Yada, normally, yada means to know. It's a very common verb, one that you would hear in a sermon about knowing in a more experiential way often, but we can't make these things rigid. Yada, even though it has a yod now, I think historically was a first vav when they used to do first vavs. Hebrew doesn't do first vavs for the most part anymore. History has done away with it. But sometimes the vav comes back, such as in this case. So this is a jussive, n-jussive, or Niph'al jussive, third masculine singular from Yada. So, and he said, do not let be known, ki, that, ba'a, that came, ha-isha, that the woman came. Ha-isha is wife or woman, in this case woman, because she's not his wife yet. Normally we would have hey patak doubling, but Aleph says, I'm a guttural, I don't do doubling. They tried to shoot a dagesh into the Aleph, and it ricocheted back and turned a patak into a kamatz. Not really. But that long A there is compensatory lengthening, because the Aleph refused to double. So that's the woman. Ba'a is its call or G stem. No frills there. It's from bo, to come or go. The kamatz hey at the end is a third feminine singular. It's a perfect. So the woman came. Ha goren. A hey patak doubling is normal, the. And then goren is the threshing floor, but I didn't have enough space to put threshing, so I just put the floor. So, and he said, do not let it be known that the woman came to the threshing floor, because that's scandalous. But anyway, the story continues. He's going to go to his near relative and say, hey, do you want to take her as a wife? Because if you don't, I will. And we know how it all turns out. Again, this is a Hebrew series I do. If you want my Biblical Hebrew for the Novice book, which teaches you how the categories of Hebrew without you having to memorize all the forms, you can get the ebook on my Shopify store, or the paperback on Amazon. You get the paperback for $1 cheaper on Shopify too. And then I have a couple of Hebrew courses. I have Learning Hebrew Through Jonah, and this Biblical Hebrew for the Novice that goes along with the other book. If it's that expensive, message me. I will set up a discount. And this has been the Hebrew of the Weekish.